Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of ABAP Explained. In today's episode, we're going to use the CL GUI ALV grid class to display data from our custom table. Let's showcase that. It's going to be editable, so we can go into edit mode and non-edit mode. We can change the data to save it, and we're going to have two events. The first event will be a hotspot, so you can see this date is underlined. So if I click on one, it's going to show me some data, a small pop-up, a custom screen. And the other thing will be the double click event. So again, a pop-up with some information. Everything's going to be object oriented, so stay tuned. I have prepared the report, and now let's begin with creating the screen. So right click on the object name, create and screen. Let's go with the standard number 1000. Just do a description, ALV screen, and go straight to the layout. Here you click on this custom control button, and we are gonna create this big space and name it container ALV. Remember the name, save and activate. And because I activate here, I need to activate it in the report. And then I can close the main window. Now, in the element list, you can see we're going to have the first element, container ALV. And let's go to the flow logic and create the module for our process before output. And uncomment that. And also the process after input module. Double click on status. It's gonna insert the include into our main report. Accept everything. And now we're gonna create a PF status, which is gonna have the name standard, and it's gonna be all the buttons that we see in the main report. A title bar, it's just ALV, doesn't matter. And now again, select everything, activate, and double click on standard, and it's gonna create a status. Okay, we need some description, ALV, whatever. And here you're gonna have all the buttons that's gonna be displayed on the report. So I'm gonna use a helper program that I have next to my other screen, just to make things easier. And in the application toolbar is gonna be all the custom buttons. So in our case, you want this edit button. So we're gonna call it edit mode. And the rest of the buttons, yeah, static text, because we're gonna need to let's just take a look. Function text edit mode, and the icon name is, again, I'm gonna copy it to make things faster, and it's gonna be this. Yeah, just select any shortcut, and you see that this icon is this well-known edit mode icon. And from the standard toolbars, so like going back, save, and so on, we're gonna also copy the name, so data save, and you can of course use any custom name here. It's but standard for these buttons, it's gonna be F03, F15, and F12. So let's go with those, and then we're gonna want to have two. Yeah, just save that, and we're gonna want to add the edit function key settings to this one. Oh, it's already there, so never mind. And after activation, we can go back and then create a user command. And the user command is gonna also be included in our main report. So save that. It's gonna create everything. And now I'm gonna take base code. So if I click on the go back button, if I go click on the exit and cancel button, it's gonna just go to the main screen. And I have also prepared a condition for the save button and a condition for the edit mode button, which for now we're not going to fill. Use the pretty printer using Shift F1 and now Control F3. You can activate the code. F9 to select everything and enter. So we have the core of our report. Of course, it's now it's not doing anything. We just created the screen and includes to process everything that's going to happen on the screen. Okay, so the next step will be creating a class to process all everything that's going on in our report. Of course, you don't need a class, but we're going with the object-oriented approach to make things better and nicer looking. To test our screen, we can of course do call screen 1000, pretty print activate and run F8. You can see we've got the custom button and our 3 buttons will already be working. So going back in our case. And now right click on the create and let's do an include. Maybe I will copy the names, make things faster and create include ALV class. Already exists because I have similar, the same include in my other report. So it's going to be class. Let's just do class ALV. Save it to the task, and it's going to be inserted into our main report. You can activate everything. After we create an include, it's going to be in the main, inserted in the main report. So in our case here, we just want to move it back here because the main logic will be here. So we're going to need to have it on the top. And here I'm going to take my skeleton for the class. So first, we're going to go with the definition of the class. So it's a class with the name LCL ALV. Final definition, we're not going to have any inheritance in our case, and just a public section with a basic constructor method, and 2 attributes, a container and a grid. The container is used to display the data, to operate all the data, and the grid is the one that we display the data that's in there. And the next thing obviously is to create an implementation for our class. So again, I'm gonna copy something, or maybe not, just write it down, class LCL ALV implementation and class. And method constructor yeah, and using brackets from the other languages I use. Sorry for that. And just see what's wrong there. Statements is not accessible because we're gonna need to create the flow for the whole report. So start of selection. And now we can again activate everything. And it's gonna work just fine. Not displaying anything yet. Okay, then let's create some logic for our class. Go inside here and let's begin with the constructor. Of course, we have defined 2 attributes. We can now create them in the constructor, so it's going to be called only once at the beginning of the report. And so let's go with that. MO container is going to be an object of the CL GUI custom container class. So let's just use the new keyword to create an object, and you're going to variable equals new class name, and here pass any parameters if you need them. In our case, for the constructor class of the CL GUI custom container, you're gonna pass the container name that's gonna be visible that we created here in the screen. So in our case, it was, I believe, container ALV, and we can do it. And as you can see, it was red, now it's green. And if I try to activate, it's gonna throw an error because, okay, it's the only parameter there. But you can still double click on the class and search for the constructor method and see what parameters it takes. Just to be sure, let's copy the name because I'm not 100% sure it's gonna take the right parameter. By the creation might give us a dump. So the first object is container and the second one is the grid. So the CLGUI ALV grid class. Doing the same, and in this case we're gonna need to pass the parent parameter, which is gonna be the container. So the name of this parameter is iParent, importing parameter parent, and just pass the name there. And already we've got our first method in the constructor. So let's just use it and let's call our class. Let's create the first object. So LO_ALV equals new, name of the class, and activate. And let's see what happens. Compiling F8 to run the report. And as you can see, we have the container is already connected to our object. So we see something, but we don't see any data. Let's change that. And going step by step, we're gonna need another method, a display method. So let's name it display, and let's define the logic for that. To begin with, we're gonna select the data from my custom table, and my custom table is ZMS sales. Let's just take a look at the structure. Nothing crazy here. It's filled with some data, some basic data. All right. So to select the data, we're gonna of course use the select from ZMS sales into table, and let's call the table into table data LT sales. So now we are selecting everything that's in the table. You might wanna give some condition to not select all the data, but in our case, it's not much. So yeah, selecting the data, and then we're gonna create a field cut, which I'm just gonna copy from my other report. The field catalog, so it's gonna take all the fields that need to be passed to the grid, so the report knows what fields should I display, what are the types of the fields, what are the names, and all the information. So it's just this standard type LVCT fcat, and using value we are creating an empty table, and using this standard function LVC field catalog merge, let's use the pattern button, pass the function name, then click on OK, and it's gonna generate the whole function structure. And the only parameter we're gonna need is the structure name. So I can delete all that, delete that, uncomment that, and paste the only exporting parameter, the structure name, which in my case is the table name ZMS sales, and the changing parameter is gonna be the field cut table. And of course, let's uncomment the exceptions. If it's gonna go into any errors, let's just return the report. Let's activate just to make sure everything is right. As you can see, everything is fine. And now we can finally use the grid to set the table for the first display. Set table for first display, control space and tab. It's gonna generate the whole structure of this method. As you see, it's really huge. So I'm just gonna copy it from my other report to make, again, things faster. And as you can see, it's only 3 parameters instead of 20. The structure name, which is again the table, the display table, so all the data that I have selected. In my case, it's for now a local table. So let's just do this LT, not LT sales. Yeah, it's right, LT sales. And the field catalog is going to be this field catalog variable, this local table. So set table for first display and activate everything. And the only thing left is just to call the display method to show us the data. So to refresh the memory, for now we have nothing. But now if I go with ALV and use the display method, control space, tab, auto generate the rest of the code, activate, and F8 to run the report. As you can see already, we see some data. For now, the ALV is too big for our table, but that's fine. I'm not gonna change it for now. And we've got this edit mode button, which for now obviously doesn't work because now we need to write the logic to make the table editable. Okay, so let's write the logic for our edit button. So for now it does nothing, and we want to make the whole table editable. And to do that, one significant change, which we cannot leave as it is to make the data as a global variable, at least global for class as an attribute. And because in other way, it will just dump your report. Type table of ZRS sales or your table name. And now it's correctly. I mean, it wouldn't dump it now, but it would dump it in the edit mode. So to go into edit mode, we need to go to the grid and tell the grid, hey, you're gonna need to register the some event, an edit event, and pass the parameter 19 to it to tell it that. And if I activate and double click on this attribute from this class, it's a static attribute, a constant. As you can see, it's 19. So that's the first method, which is very important. And the second one is the set ready for input method. As a default, I want the table to, when it runs, the report when it runs, to be editable. You don't need to call it here in the display method, but you can, which I am doing in my case. And now the whole table will be editable. So if I activate it, go back and run it, you can see everything is white, but I still cannot change the data, which is because of the field catalog. The field catalog controls the display width of the fields, the display names, and so on and so on. And it also controls the editability of the field. To change that, we're gonna loop around this field catalog, ls field cat, and let's change it. So to do that, we just take every line of this table and make the edit equal ABAP true. And if I activate it now, if I run the report, you can see now I can change the data. I can click on save. It's not going to do anything because the logic is not ready yet for this one. But we don't want each field to be editable. I want only the product and the amount to be editable. The rest should be as it is. So let's activate this. And now, as you can see, only the product name and only the transaction amount is visible. The rest is grayed out. And that's the main logic for the to make the table editable. And now let's do something with our custom button, and let's make it work. So to do that, let's write a control variable ALV edit of type flag, which is a boolean taking ABAP true, ABAP false. And as a default, let's do ABAP true. And now, if the user presses the edit button, if ALV edit is equal to true, then I want to make the button the grid non-editable. If it's set to false, then I want to make it editable. Command that and if. Again, I'm gonna use some help, not because the code is too hard to write, but it's gonna be faster. What am I doing here? I am addressing my local ALV object, addressing the attribute emo_grid, and I am setting the whole grid as non-editable. 0 means non-editable. And the edit button switches its state to ABAP false. And in the opposite way, if the button is then ABAP false, I want to make the whole grid editable. So just like that. Very simple. True, true, true. Wait. Right. ABAP true. So if it's true, non-edit. If it's false, then edit. And small demonstration, as a default, it is set to editable because I did it in the display method. And now if I click on that, it makes the whole table non-editable. And we can switch back and forth, change the data. Again, the save button does not work yet. To make the simple change, we're gonna go to our user command and modify the data after change. The whole state of the data is the data is stored in the empty sales attribute of the LV object. So if we just do a simple modify on the ZMS sales table, database table ZMS sales, I want to edit data from the table LOLV empty sales. I might check if the data has changed from the if the user did any change after pressing the save button, but just to make it simpler, I'm gonna do this and modify, commit the work, and this only won't work because it sometimes will register that the data has changed, sometimes not. So it's very important to, in this user command, after the user does anything on the screen, like typing something, pressing something, and so on, I want the grid to always check if the data has changed. And then it's gonna always update the empty cells with the current data that we see on the screen, right? So register if we change some data, check change data, and then if the user presses on save or do Control S, it's gonna modify the data. Let's see if that works. So I have laptops here. Let's just do that it's one laptop and change the price. I think that's too cheap, 1,800. Control S, go back, run it again. And as you can see, we have laptop and 1,800. I can also change here just to showcase the button also works, 800. Pressing save on the third row. If I display it back to back, the data has changed, going back to edit mode, non-edit mode. So as you can see, it works nicely. Okay, now let's go to the exciting part, so the events. First, maybe I'm gonna change a bit the light because it's like a flashbang. And to do that, we're just gonna create new methods, and it's gonna be one for the hotspot click and one it's gonna be for the double click. And to just do that, let's declare these methods on, let's start with the double click, because this one is going to be the easier one. On double click for event, which event it's going to be double click of the class cell GUI ALV grid. Because if I double click on this double click event after saving, you can see that it takes me to the all possible events for this class, for this grid. So you can do really many things with the grid, so you can experiment. In our case, it's gonna be those two methods, so on double click and on hotspot click. And these events are like methods and they have parameters. So row, column, row number, so the place that we clicked. And those I'm just gonna copy for now, and the method is created. As simple as that. And now we need to add the handler to the grid so that the report knows that it's needs to be used for this particular object. And to do that, let's use the keyword set handler. Set handler, which handler, on double click for my object emo grid. Right? So now it is created, but we still need the implementation. So what should happen after we double click on some field? And we're just gonna do a simple message, a simple pop-up message, and let's activate it just so you can see that the event works. So first method name, handler, and then the implementation. And now if I click on everything, like example on this row, it selected the product name column with the number 9. Now if I click here, it's the sale date with number 5, the last one node, row 6. So working very nicely. And similar to that, let's now create the second method, the second event. So it's going to be the on hotspot click, which in my opinion are the two most used events in ABAP grid. But if you have another opinion, write down in the comments. I'm very interested to hear that. And again, if I click on hotspot click, you can see what parameters are used here. And it's gonna be similar to that. I'm just gonna again copy them with different names, doesn't really matter. And doing the same, Control D to duplicate the row on hotspot click for a grid. So just set the handlers in the constructor, call them only once. We don't need to do that more than once. And the method is gonna be on hotspot click and the method. And here let's do something like, because hotspot click is and the double click are working for either the arrow or for a particular field. In our case, I'm gonna select the whole selected row. So I'm reading the table with our data, empty sales, and I'm passing that into ms clicked sale, which now does not exist. And we need to create it. It's gonna be the structure of the type ZMS sales, and it's gonna hold all the information of the clicked row, looking by the index of row ID, which we are taking from a parameter row ID. Right, so we read the data and put it into this row, and I can actually activate it for now, put a breakpoint to show you that if I double click, not double click, but what did I miss? Hotspot click for emo grid. Am I missing something? What am I missing? Right, because we created the method and the implementation, but we didn't tell it which field it needs to be a hotspot. So it turns out that the field catalog is controlling this one also. So here we are checking for the field names to make it editable or not. But we can do an else if the field, and now we choose the field name. So in our case, let's select, I don't know, sale date. So if the field name is equal to sale date, then we want to make the field, you guessed it, a hotspot, equal ABAP true. I was wondering why it didn't work, but now if we need to move this one here, and now it should be correct. Let's activate that, and let's put the breakpoint back where it was to showcase you this. And now you can see that there's an underline on those fields, and if I click on some date, we go into debug mode, maybe go empty sales. This is our current data that is selected on the whole screen, and the selected row ID is 11 in this case, and I'm moving it to ms clicked sale, and as you can see, it's the data of the external HDD that I currently selected. So just for showcase purposes. And let's use the hotspot to do a model dialog box. Why not? We didn't do it yet in any of the videos, so let's just call the screen 1050. I called the name, and starting at 1020, ending at 5020, which is gonna be the place where it appears on the screen, and double click on the screen to create it. Yes, model dialog box, and very important, screen type model dialog box, because it's gonna change the type from just a regular screen to this small pop-up window. And going into the layout, we have this blue reddish button with the red box. You can pull here all the variables that you have in your report. So I already did that. If you put the star and click get from program, it's gonna load all the variables that you are using in your report. So in our case, the one that we need is gonna be the structure with the data that we currently are reading, where we clicked on the hotspot. So let's, for example, select the field sale ID, product, invoice number. And when I click on OK, it's going to automatically pull those here. And the only change I want to make is when I double click on a field to make them output only, because I don't want the user to change that. So output only for all three of them. And then let's just do the labels. And usually the labels are put automatically when you select a data dictionary element, but here you need to do them per hand. So the first one was sale ID, sale ID. Then we need to put a name, sale ID label. Second one is product, just like that, product, and product. I cannot absolutely type product label. And the last one is invoice number. So let's do that. Invoice number. We can select them to move them back to the more to the left. Invoice label, and let's save, close it. And one important thing is just to, or maybe it's not gonna do a difference. Let's see. Let's focus on the flow logic. So we're gonna need to create a new status, insert it into our report, and the PF status, let's name it model as for model dialog box. Click on yes, and yeah, once again, I think it was already created from my last video, so let's not focus on that. But the important difference is that when you create this one, it's gonna say the pop-up, and you need to select modal as the type. And now, or maybe not, let's go back. Let's remove the title bar because I don't need that. Activate the rest. Let's try it again. It doesn't. Oh yeah, exactly. This window is what I needed. So dialog box as the status type. Very important step. And now here we just need to add which buttons are gonna appear. The ones that are appearing is the OK and the cancel. And we just need to call them by the function name, which is gonna be cancel and I don't know, let's call it enter. Save them and do the user command also. Add it to the main window. And then just now pass the logic, which is gonna be if I click on enter or I click on cancel, just leave the screen and do absolutely nothing, just close the window. Now let's see if that worked. Pressing F8, and when I click on any of these fields, as you can see, we get this nice pop-up with the information which we just clicked. And that's everything. Let's just do the pretty print for this report, and let's see the whole result. So we've got this ALV grid with editable fields. We can save the data, make it non-editable, editable. We have a double-click event. We have a hotspot event, which is showing us this model dialog box. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this huge load of information. Thank you very much for watching. Leave a like, a subscription, a comment, maybe for the next video, because this one was an idea from one of the subscriber, one of the person that commented. Thank you for that. I will give you credit in the comments. Thanks.